The most fun you can have with your goalie pads on. Oops, all goalies. We have the creator of this extravaganza, Kyle Sorensen, with us, and also one of the participants, Peter Zeidmeier. How'd I do on that name?
Perfect. The Dutch would be proud.
Kyle, first, for those who aren't familiar with it, we should have you explain what is Oops All Goalies? Where'd you come up with the idea? And how did you make it a thing?
Oops All Goalies, it's pretty straightforward. It's 5-on-5 ice hockey. However, everybody is a goalie. So everybody wears their full goalie pads, goalie helmet, goalie stick, glove and blocker, their leg pads. And we play 5-on-5 hockey with all goalies, as you can see in the video. And we don't allow a goalie in the net. So the scores get real high. In fact, it's a penalty if the goalies stand in the net. So it's pretty funny watching the goalies try to remember. So that goalie right there is out of the crease. But they can still make saves. They can still do their goalie stuff when people shoot. They just cannot guard the net. So it's a lot of fun. We've had, at this point, I think we've had over 80 different or 100 different goalies sign up for all the different events. And they just absolutely love it. They just have a ton of fun. And you can see and lots of goals. Both games ended double digits this past couple weeks.
How many Oops All Goalies games have there been? And they haven't all been at the Kraken practice facility, have they?
No, so correct. You asked me how it started. So I basically organized this last year in 2024, back in February, actually on Michael Jordan's birthday, February 17th, 2024. And it's one of my brother's birthdays as well, but I always tell him Michael Jordan's more important anyway. So it's just one of those things. I started reaching out to a bunch of different goalie friends that I had, and oddly enough, I convinced 30 different goalies to drive all the way to Bellingham, Washington. And that's where we had our first game. And since then, we've had 2 in Colorado after Avalanche games. And this was our 5th one here in Washington. So we've had almost 10 now.
And I see we have an Oops All Goalies MVP with us. Peter, of all the trophies in sports, of all the trophies, even in entertainment, the Oscar, the Emmy, the Tony, the Grammy, the Oops All Goalie MVP stick, you can see worth $4, but really, Peter, priceless, right?
Oh, absolutely priceless. And ever since the first game, Kyle has been one of the most amazing human beings about this whole experience. He could have gone Hollywood on us, and he hasn't. He's still the most humble person you've ever met. It couldn't have happened to a better person. But I've gotten to help out, be a part of what's going on. And that includes taking this Goodwill Seattle Kraken mini stick that was the very first Oops All Goalies MVP award that was purchased the day of for $4. And we've actually introduced proper trophies, proper trophies that, as adults, we don't really get trophies for what we do. So that was something that I worked with Kyle on, sent him some ideas. He loved it. And we had no idea at volume 4 whether or not people would really even be into it. Adults don't really get trophies. So what happens when you get one for this insane 5-on-5 goalies thing? And so we created an MVP award, and we actually introduced a couple new ones, a new one for this skate and a new one for the previous skate. So the previous skate we had MVP. This was Oops All Goalies Volume 4. We had MVP, and then we also had Best Selly. Now, in Volume 4, there wasn't really a lot of preparation for that. People didn't even know they were getting trophies until they got to the arena. And Joey DeCord checked them out. He loved them. People were walking by talking about it when we were in the hallway. I'm sure you heard people talking about it, Kyle. And in Volume 5, we introduced Best Style and Flow. Now, admittedly and upsettingly, this was an award that I wanted to win. I created it for myself. And unfortunately, you can't just give yourself an award because it was for, in hockey, especially on the goalies, long hair, having a nice mullet. You know, you got to get the freedom locks out and let them flow.
Okay,
Usually,
but I just need to interrupt you to say that I liked you when this interview started, but now I don't like you.
hey,
Too much
that's
hair.
fair. You know,
I'm with you.
I can appreciate.
I'm not winning a style and flow contest anytime soon.
Well, maybe at the bottom.
Yeah, if it's a gray contest, I'm getting there.
Oh.
Okay, but Peter,
Oh my
all right.
God.
So
Yeah.
first of all, I want to say how classy it is that your trophy still has the price tag on it.
Oh, absolutely. That's a badge
Okay,
of honor.
but what did you do to return to earn the MVP honor?
All right. Now there is the infallible Andy Glass, who, if you've ever get a chance to meet him, he's one of the greatest human beings as well. Like the people that this has brought together, whether it's the goalies, new and old, organizer, the photographer, these are all the most wonderful people ever. And Andy Glass has a photo on the page for the very first Oops All Goalies. And I took advantage of a loophole in the rules. And that loophole was you could not use 2 blockers and 2 sticks. But Kyle never mentioned that you couldn't use 2 gloves. And so I received an aggressive hugging penalty that has spawned several fights. I've been lucky enough to battle out against another full right goalie. But I received a penalty and I defended the net using 2 gloves, which it wasn't expressly stated in the rules that I couldn't do that. And since I catch with my right hand, whereas most goalies catch with their left hand, I had 2 gloves on, and it was against the hot dog. And that started a trend that I was able to maintain until the last volume 4. I had a penalty shot against the hot dog in every game, and I shut him down. Every time, 2 gloves. I shut him down in Colorado. Kyle, him, and I flew out to Colorado to play at the Ball Arena, and I shut him down there on a penalty shot. Very brutal trip that I performed. He was gone. He was gone. He had the greatest breakaway in the history of the sport. It was Bure-esque breakaway time. But I hooked, got the stick under, brought him down. But yeah, so to earn that first MVP award, 2 gloves, and I tragically failed a breakaway to score. I started celebrating halfway down the ice. Once I got across the blue line, I started celebrating, lost control of the puck, crashed into the boards. The puck went wide by a foot. It was just, oh my goodness.
That's the real reason he got the MVP, not his breakaway grabbing. He may brag about it, but him messing up his own breakaway by celebrating and falling and not scoring. We just had to give him the MVP because the whole arena was just laughing at him because it was so embarrassing. We loved it.
It was, oh.
Kyle, Peter mentioned Joey Decord. We've seen Joey practice one-timers.
Yeah.
After Kraken practices. He's a frustrated forward who is certain he's going to score a goal one day in the NHL. Tell us about him showing up, whether that was a surprise, what kind of interaction, what he told you about why he showed up.
So he actually reached out through the Kraken, through their like social media, the people at the rink that work there. And they had emailed me and said, hey, Joey would like to come and say hi to all the goalies and stuff. Initially, there was no talk of him doing the puck drop. That was kind of his idea. He was there. He hung out for both games and did the puck drop for both games because our last one, we had the games running simultaneously on 2 different sheets of ice. So he came over to the Starbucks rink and dropped the puck with all the goalies. Pointed out how stinky everybody was, reminded everybody it's okay to wash your gear, which it is. It is totally fine to wash your gear. People should do it. I encourage you to do it. And then he walked over to the other sheet, dropped the puck. So both games got a Joey Decord puck drop. He spent, I would say, an hour, maybe an hour and a half signing autographs without any pressure from any, like, we didn't ask him to do that. We didn't ask him to do anything. He showed up. There was people coming that weren't even part of the event that just were like, holy crap, we heard Joey Decord was here. And so we had people flooding in and lining up. He was taking pictures with kids, signing autographs. One of the photographers, actually, I think it was Andy Glass. Andy Glass had taken a really great photo of Joey Decord because he's a photographer for the Kraken. So he printed that out and he stood in line and got that signed by Joey. And it was just like such a special moment for all these people. And then to see not only him do that for us in the goalie community, he got on the bench and was playing pass with goalies. He was showing people how to hold their stick properly to get a good shot. And then, he watched the game. You could see him filming. He's sending videos to his friends. He was up in the stands for a little bit talking to people. I think he was there for most of the first game. I didn't see him leave, but that was the most incredible thing an NHLer has done for me in my life at any point. It was just awesome.
Yeah, a totally human moment. It was amazing getting to see him. He didn't really have that aura like I'm an NHLer. He was a goalie. He was a goalie hanging out with 70 other goalies. And it was amazing to see.
Peter, I do notice watching these games, there seems to be a genuine camaraderie among the goalies, whether they know each other or not. Is that as genuine as it looks?
Maybe more than it appears, because we're in the locker room before the skate, and it's not like teams are in the locker room. Like, I was in the locker room with people I played in the first game, and I was on white. I was in the locker room with team players on dark team and people from game 2. Like, there's absolutely no there's no lines drawn anywhere. Everybody is out there to have the best time you can possibly have on the ice. And as I mentioned before, I started playing in 1990. This is the most fun I've had on the ice in my entire life. I've been playing for 35 years. This is it. This is as good as hockey gets. There's no comparison. There's nothing else I've ever done on the ice that even comes close, and everybody's happy to be there.
Kyle, you have enough goalies now for, as you said, 2 games. Were you wondering when you started this if you'd have enough goalies for 1 game?
Yeah. So the first time I did it, I figured if we didn't get enough goalies, I had already gotten the ice for a pretty inexpensive cost from Bellingham, which was really nice of them. They gave it to me for a pretty good deal because they thought the idea was funny. And I was like, at least we'll have some goalies and we can get together and just dink around. I did not expect to have 30 goalies that first game, let alone my email list of goalies. Just some of them are outside of Washington, but the vast majority of goalies I have here in Washington, I have an email list of 120. If I add that list to that list of people that have flown in from other places, I'm upwards of 150 goalies on my email list. I have about 40 women goalies emails. So I'm trying to organize an all women's Oops All Goalies with here sometime in early 2026. So don't have an official date for it, but I'll keep everybody posted on that. It's going to be pretty cool. And it's going to be a little bit more than just an Oops All Goalies game. We're going to make sure it's something extra special and really highlight women's goalies.
How many women's goalies participate in these games, Kyle?
This last one, we had 23 between the 2 games. But I went through this morning because I was doing a lot of work this morning on Oops All Goalies. I have, like I just said, I think like 40 or 50 female goalies, maybe 60 emails. And that's not just inside Washington, but it's a pretty big list. And then we have like between the KWHL, which is the Kraken Women's Hockey League, the Snowco WoHo, which is what they call it, which is one of my favorite names to say, the Snohomish County Women's Hockey, and then the Seattle Women's Hockey Club. I'm going to try to get some more emails from them, some people that I haven't talked to, and just I would really like to get a list of 100 girls and like 200 guys and have just a massive email list of goalies so we can really start making these games huge.
Kyle, I'd like a list of 100 girls too.
Wouldn't everybody?
But Peter, I do notice during the games that the size difference among some of the goalies, it's like, wait, are you all the same species?
So something that's blown my mind is how much better the smaller goalies are when there isn't forwards coming down on them. So I like talking on the bench and like some of the women, and then we also had some very young goalies out there. I think there was an 11-year-old on my team, and a 13-year-old on the other team. Like the so typically in hockey, it's skill based. Like that's how the divisions are broken down. And Oops All Goalies, there are goalies here who they learned how to play after being at an Oops All Goalies game. That's their genesis, and they can be young. And so when they're small, they're super nimble, and those kids have an impossible amount of energy. It is infuriating being on the bench 2 minutes into the first period, gasping for air and praying for it to end, and seeing these kids score 8 or 10 goals themselves. It just dipsy doodling, dancing around us like we're pylons. And then I think we've had goalies as tall as 6'7". And there were other goalies out there with us this last weekend that were 5 foot.
But as far as an adult goes, I think the shortest goalie we have is under 5 foot for an adult. Actually, we have multiple adult goalies that are under 5 foot. And then, as Peter said, in fact, our tallest goalie was 6'8" before he put skates on.
Sorry. I was off. I undersold it.
And Peter's right. We've had a couple people. There was and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on her name right now. But she had come to an Oops All Goalies event. She never played ice hockey before. She just came to our first one at the Kraken Iceplex, and she loved it. She thought it was a blast. She signed up for Learn to Play. She bought goalie gear, and she came to the next one as and skated out with us. It was incredible.
A participant.
It was a participant. I got an email. I mean, I get messages from people from all over the country telling me that like the video inspired their kid to play hockey. So I just send stickers to people when I get those messages. It doesn't cost me anything, or a couple bucks here and there.
Yeah, what is that? The fact that we're roping more people into financial destitute is worth it to me.
And that's really my end goal of all this.
Consolation.
And Glenn, that's really my end goal of all this. If I can get more people playing hockey and falling in love with the sport, that's all I really care about. My whole family plays hockey. We all grew up around the rink.
And figuring out how expensive it is to play goalie.
Yeah, well, that's what Sideline Swap and Played Against Sports is for. You can get some decently priced stuff there. But yeah, buying brand new goalie stuff, you might as well take out a small loan.
Yeah. It's funny Kyle mentions his family grew up with hockey. My dad was a good old boy from Montana, raced stock cars, and he'd never seen a hockey game before. When we moved to Linwood, he'd never watched a hockey game in his life in 1990. And my mom, who's Canadian, brought home a flyer from Snow King, which was, my local rink in Linwood, which is kind of a legendary facility, just down the street. And so she was like, hey, I'm signing up. And my first time putting on skates was in goalie gear. I went out for a Div A men's league warm-up in goalie gear at 5 years old.
One of the things I wanted to know more about was the goalies who come in costumes. And if you expected that, if you encouraged that, because that's a thing.
Yeah, so Jeremy, the hot dog, the guy who wears the hot dog, he just showed up to the very, very first one in the hot dog outfit, and people obviously just loved it because it was just so funny to see a guy in a hot dog costume. So he kind of had to do it, I guess, in a way, the second time, in which then one of our referees, who's actually injured right now, so he sadly could not make it. He's a dear friend of mine named Chris Ripley. He made a rule that said there has to be a hot dog on the ice, but then he just started, because we love just random penalties. We don't care. Penalties equal penalty shots. So I let the refs hey, if you think there's not been enough penalties, just make one up. I don't care. So he made a penalty that was too many hot dogs on the ice, which doesn't even make sense. So then from there, because Jeremy wanted to come to Colorado, he flew out to that one. And again, the hot dog showed up. So it just kind of snowballed into this, like the hot dog has to be there, which then caused other people like our friend our friend Santa. Santa showed up.
Yeah.
And the kids love Santa. The first time Santa showed up, he was having kids. Can I sit in your lap? Just telling them stuff, taking pictures. The fans love Santa. So the Santa won best celebration this year. It was mildly inappropriate, but it's okay.
Controversy.
And then a couple of we have a goalie named Clint Harris. And in fact, this is a good place to announce it. I haven't really told too many people this, but Clint Harris, his wife had passed away earlier this year, and he means a lot to me in the goalie community. And she was super supportive of him and his hockey and all that stuff. So I reached out to him after the event, and I asked him if we could name our Stanley Cup trophy that has berries coming out of the top and the puck on top, if we could name it the Korean Memorial Trophy in honor of his wife. And he's the one that wears the bodybuilder suit that's always doing big stretches and flexing during warm-up. So I think he will always wear the bodysuit. He's kind of stuck with it now. Melanie, she makes the really cool knitted hat on her helmet. She made me a knitted Oops captain that Joey Decore took a picture with, and so did Bowie. So everybody's just got these little talents where they can come dressed up or have ideas. And seems like every time there's a new outfit, I don't tell people to do it. I didn't ask anybody to do it. Goalies are unique. I won't say weird. Goalies are unique.
This thing has been a runaway freight train, I'm sure, far beyond what your even wild expectations would have been. You mentioned trying to organize an all women's game. I mean, how big can this thing get?
I don't know. I didn't really expect to do more than one the first time. I definitely didn't expect it to go like viral and have me create swag that people from all over the world are asking me to ship them. I mean, I have a little map that I have on my computer of like where I've shipped stickers and hats and jerseys and t-shirts to.
And flags. The flags are beautiful too.
And flags too. And it's just, it's weird. Where it can go, I have no idea. I thought the one game was going to be enough, and maybe we do like one every year and make it an annual thing. And people keep saying like, "Oh, do you do this once a year?" It's only 18 months old, and we've done almost 10. So, yeah, it's just weird.
All right, I'm gonna wait because I'm expecting in the next couple of years to see all of you on a cereal box.
Hey, if you know the folks at General Mills, if they want to put us on a Wheaties box, I'm not turning it down.
Wheaties,
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, you're going to abandon the captain?
Well, I think you make a very clear point. Just as an iconic sports memorabilia moment, I take both. I wouldn't turn down both. If they want to release a simultaneous, maybe we get some Wheaties with some Crunch Berries in it. For me, if I can walk through the tunnel at MSG at Madison Square Garden in goalie gear to play an all goalies game, then I'll know we've done it. And until that happens, I'm going to keep showing up, and we'll keep trying to make these games incredible. And Kyle's got some ideas. He's got some thoughts. There's some things in the works that may or may not happen that may show the world what's possible for goalies, because we just don't have an organization that brings us all together, that unites all the goalies. Like, that's another thing that's really kind of surprised me is the lack of representation when it comes to the sport itself for goalies, to advocate for goalie safety, for goalie regulation, goalie rules, and to bring us together in a way where we can actually not just be floating heads on the internet, where we can all get out on the ice together and have fun and talk about our experiences, share gear tips. The locker rooms are buzzing with conversations about equipment and style choices and experiences with brands, and there's a lot of sharing of contact information. to just help people be the best goalie they can. And that's
Yeah, we even
something.
got we got this local tackle shop, not tackle shop. I'm thinking fishing because I'm going fishing here shortly. This local hockey
The
shop
fishmonger.
called Breakaway Hockey that just opened up here earlier this year at Olympic View and Mount Lake Terrace. And they've been awesome. Like they just love the all goalie games. One of the guys that works there, he's been to it. So this time they decided that any goalie that plays in Oops All Goalies. So if you bring a picture of you playing in Oops All Goalies, or you show that you signed up for the event at any point, you get $2 off on sharpening your skates. So there's been some like cool little perks and benefits. We had this company out in Texas that's owned by a goalie called Lightning Rod Energy. He shipped us 60 energy drinks for the goalies to like make sure they had enough energy for the game. I mean, just and then another company called Rink Rat Body Wash. He shipped us a bunch of bottles of their hockey bottle or their body wash to give out.
I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that. That's
always was stinky. Ask Joey, he'll tell you.
All right, so Kyle, what's on the boy? This would sure be cool if we could do this file.
For me, personally, or just in general?
Well, picking up on what Peter said about things you'd like to organize in the future.
I mean, as far as me organizing things in the future, I really want this to generate more people playing hockey, more kids being involved with goalies. You know, we don't really focus on goalies at a young age. And it'd be nice if we had more kids involved in being goalies and more parents understanding what it takes to become a goalie and showing kids it can be fun. And also, you know, young kids kind of get blamed sometimes when they're a goalie. You know, you might have one goalie on a team and everybody just blames them when you lose. So if we can get more kids playing goalies and having that more option and people liking their goalies, I think that's great. Now, as far as me personally going, what this could do for me, if I could somehow weasel my way into going to an NHL All-Star game, I think that would be super cool.
Yes.
But I mean, I've been in touch with some people. I've been invited to a couple of places that I never would have been invited had I not done this. Don't really want to announce any of that quite yet, but we'll see where it goes. I've definitely had opportunities that this never would have happened if I didn't do the Oops All Goalies thing. So I'm very thankful for all the people that have come to the event.
Yeah.
Kyle Sorensen, who created Oops All Goalies, and Peter Zeidmeier, who needs to change the rules so that he can award himself the trophies he so richly deserves.
All right. Well, little caveat there. He could have won the best flow. However, there was a goalie that had some beautiful black blocks.
Look, I'm not bitter about it. I had a
clearly.
Yeah, a goalie from Everett had just a great mane on him. His name's Zane, and it was flowing, and everybody kept talking about it.
Chef's kiss. It was the best flow I think I've ever seen in person. And so I will be salty on the outside, but on the inside, you know, Floby One Kenobi, Flota, he had the gift. He had the gift. It is what it is.
I can't say that this was as good as watching or playing in Oops All Goalies, but this conversation was the next best thing. You two guys are great, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share your stories